Welcome back, everybody. It's Andrew here. We have some big changes when it comes to the next stimulus package, and this will have an impact on the possibility of having checks for seniors as well. So let's discuss the details, but before we jump into it, do me a quick favor, hit like, hit subscribe, and share this channel with anyone who you think might find this helpful. This is a community for seniors, and my job here is to be a voice for you and be a voice for seniors to make sure President Biden keeps his promise to increase Social Security benefits, increase SSI and SSDI, and even approve a stimulus check for seniors in this next stimulus package. So thank you so much for being a part of our community, and if you really want to support my work, consider becoming a channel member. The link to that is going to be in the comments of this video. Click the link and hit join, but you have to be on desktop for that to work. It doesn't work on your mobile phone. So thank you for your support. And with that said, let's jump right into today's updates. There are some huge changes when it comes to Chuck Schumer trying to change the filibuster rule. He just proposed a change that could pave the way to getting more stimulus checks done and a specific stimulus check for seniors as well. But before we jump into that, let's do a quick update on daily trending news. One thing that's trending is the fact that interest rates are going up, and that's going to have a huge impact on basically everything in the economy. And one thing that could affect seniors the most is bonds. A lot of people have bonds as part of their retirement portfolio, and later at the end of this video, we're going to talk about how specifically interest rates going up would affect bonds if that's in your portfolio. So it's a little detailed, but we'll talk about that at the end of this video. Now, mortgage interest rates are going up as well. Just a few weeks ago, they were sitting at about 3%, and now they've already jumped to 3.6 to 3.7%. So interest rates at the moment, at least, are kind of skyrocketing. Now, they'll probably drop a little bit, but if you were looking to buy a house or refinance your current house, a lot of seniors do this to kind of pull money out and live off that money, it's going to get a little more expensive. And with Biden wrapping up his first year as president, a lot of people are saying that really the main problem with his administration is they're not focusing on inflation enough. So let's take a quick look and watch this clip. It's going to talk about the fact that most Americans have said that what they really want President Biden to focus on is inflation and not necessarily even the stimulus package. So let's take a look, see what they said, then we'll discuss what's happening with negotiations and what Chuck Schumer just did regarding the filibuster that could change everything going forward.
President Biden is about to begin his second year in office, but as he does, he is battling some tough economic headwinds. Kayla Tausche joins us right now with more on that front. Kayla, good morning.
Good morning, Becky. When President Biden took office, the economy jumped quickly out of the gate. Retail sales soaring after stimulus, consumer confidence spiking. And while those areas have since leveled off, the labor market has stayed strong. A jobless rate cut nearly in half to 3.9%. That's a stat cited daily by the White House. And respondents in a recent CNBC poll were largely optimistic about their own job prospects going forward. But casting a shadow on all of that strength is inflation, climbing throughout the year, dragging President Biden's approval down with it as the supply chain broke down and businesses passed higher labor costs onto consumers. So why did the White House fail to tamp it down early on? Well, administration officials acknowledged to me privately they wanted badly to put rocket fuel behind the recovery. They were too focused on vaccinations and averting worst-case depression-like economic scenarios. And there was and is a deference to the Federal Reserve on anything besides messaging about inflation. But voters say President Biden still isn't doing enough to fix it. In a CBS YouGov poll from this weekend, 63% of voters said their view of the president would improve if he did fix inflation. Just 24% say their view would improve if Mr. Biden passed his landmark social spending bill. Now, as a broader policy reset is underway, the White House still trusts that inflation will level off by the end of this year. Midterm voters may have their say before then. Becky?
So really interesting to see this poll. So it looks like 63% of voters said that their opinion of Biden would change if they got inflation under control, and only 24% said they would change their voting on President Biden if they passed the stimulus package. So pretty interesting. I'd like to know your guys' thoughts. Do you guys agree with this poll? Would you prefer President Biden focus on inflation or focus on that Build Back Better stimulus package? To be quite honest with you, I think part of the problem is most of the stuff in these packages don't really directly help the American people. So, for example, if you took out the second option that says pass Build Back Better and just put pass the stimulus voucher for seniors, or pass another stimulus check. That might actually be flipped, and I really think it would be because really, if you give someone a direct check, you're helping them with inflation as well. And if you specifically give that check to people who are lower income, it's been shown to not cause inflation. Now, look, whether you vote Republican or Democrat, I'm not trying to pick sides, but Republicans are really kind of running a smear campaign on Democrats, saying that the stimulus package caused inflation. But economic experts agree that this inflation is really caused, for the most part, by supply chain issues. This is a supply and demand issue, and really the stimulus did not cause a high demand. I mean, think about it. You got a stimulus check 10 months ago. Are you still creating demand in the economy from that check? No. You spent that check in the first couple of weeks. So, although this poll shows that Americans want President Biden to focus on inflation, I think that direct stimulus voucher for seniors is obviously just as popular as well. But let me know in the thoughts if you agree. I know seniors need tons of help. Utilities are going up, the price of gas, not just at the pump for your car, but just to heat your home as well. That's going up. Electricity is going up. Food, rent, everything that costs across the board has really been going up. And the good thing is, we had Bernie Sanders pushing for this $1,000 either debit card or voucher. Of course, some groups are pushing for $2,000, including our community here. And one of the main tools that Chuck Schumer is trying to use is changing the filibuster rule. Now, Chuck Schumer yesterday announced his plan to change the filibuster, and what he wants to do is introduce a talking filibuster. Now, first, let's recap exactly what a filibuster is. A filibuster is a political procedure in which one or more members of a body prolong debate on proposed legislation as to delay or prevent decision. So basically what that means is before they bring something to a vote, so for example, the stimulus package, they have to debate it. And then before they can actually bring it to a vote, they have to officially close debate. These are all legal procedures, it's legal jargon. But to officially close debate and bring it to a vote, they need 60 senators to vote to do this. They need 60 senators to vote to end debate, and then they can go ahead and try and vote and approve something. So technically, they only really need 51 votes to approve it in the vote, but they need 60 votes to even get to the vote by closing debate. If that kind of makes sense, it's a little bit confusing. But really, the problem here is this becomes a passive filibuster. So filibuster is basically not getting the 60 votes to end debate. And what that means is the party who's blocking this whole situation doesn't actually have to do anything. It's a passive process because the other side just can't get the 60 votes if people don't vote. And what Chuck Schumer wants to do is really change the rule and put it back to what it used to be, where you actually had to do a talking filibuster, meaning that if you didn't want debate to end, you had to literally stand on the Senate floor and continue debating verbally. You had to sit there or stand there and talk for hours on end. And that put things in a situation where only things that were really extremely controversial would get filibustered. It would take a lot of time and effort to actually filibuster something, as opposed to now where it's literally a passive process. They don't have to do anything. All they have to do is not vote to end debate, if that makes sense. So he wants to basically not end the filibuster, but make it more difficult to actually use the filibuster. That way it will only be used with things that are extreme. Now, of course, things right now are focusing on Democrats' voting rights bill, but experts agree that this is really just an olive branch, and once they change the filibuster rules, they will then use it to approve multiple smaller packages, whether that's immigration reform, the Build Back Better Act, a standalone bill for this $1,000 stimulus voucher for seniors that Bernie Sanders wants to do. I just want to point out that really these voting acts aren't really such a crazy idea. Let's take a look. First of all, they want to declare Election Day a federal holiday. So that's nice. We'd all get an extra day off work for those of us who still work. And there's a couple of smaller things. I'm not going to go too deep into the voting rights situation here, but I mean, an extra day off I would not be opposed to that. Now, Bernie Sanders came out swinging at Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. He literally called them pathetic if they don't allow Democrats to change the filibuster rule, which again would pave the way to getting more multiple smaller packages done. So let's take a quick look and see what Bernie Sanders said.
Tomorrow, the Senate is going to be casting an enormously important vote. And that vote has to do whether or not we preserve the foundations of American democracy, or whether we allow Republican governors and legislatures all across this country to suppress the vote, to impose extreme gerrymandering, to attack independent elected officials, all of which the goal is to make it harder for people to vote, people who will vote against Republicans. It is an outrage. And tomorrow we have the opportunity to overturn what these governors and legislatures are doing. And in one way, this is a very complicated issue, constitutional aspects, et cetera, et cetera. On the other hand, it's a pretty simple issue. And that is, tomorrow, will we vote to allow majority to rule 50 votes plus the vice president, or will we maintain the archaic and undemocratic process of needing 60 votes to pass this bill? That's what tomorrow is about. Now, right now, every Republican will be voting against us, and that's pretty pathetic. But what's equally pathetic, as of now, 2 Democrats will be voting against us as well. And I would hope very much that those 2 Democrats, Senator Sinema and Senator Manchin, will rethink their position and understand that the foundations of American democracy are at stake, and I hope they will join 48 of us and allow us to win.
So yeah, the elephant in the room here is that to change the filibuster, they still need Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin to get on board with this. This isn't the kind of thing that Chuck Schumer can do himself as Senate Majority Leader. It's not something President Biden can do. This is really something that is still going to require the 51 votes, meaning every single Democratic senator plus Vice President Kamala Harris. So really what we've been talking about is how likely is it that this gets done? Well, most experts say it's not that likely. And what would have to happen is Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema would have to make the political calculation that although they're from conservative states, and if they do this, they're going to take a hit in their polls in their respective states, they have to decide, okay, long term, this is actually going to benefit them. So if they can change the filibuster, take a hit in their state polls, but then they do things like approve the monthly checks for families, approve the checks for seniors, build infrastructure, even do things for businesses in their states, right? Do things that really affect things that matter in their states, the voters in their states. This could actually end up being a win for them long term. It all becomes like everything else in politics. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. So this is something we're monitoring. Chuck Schumer came out and said he wants to change this filibuster to a talking filibuster. Now, initially, Joe Manchin said he's opposed to it, which is a little bit strange because this entire year, that was actually something that Joe Manchin supported. He had said he doesn't want to get rid of the filibuster, but he supports doing things like turning it into a talking filibuster. And it almost feels like the more Democrats go towards Joe Manchin and kind of compromise with him, the more he continually moves the goalposts. Just a few weeks ago, he was offering Democrats a $1.8 trillion deal on the Build Back Better stimulus plan. Democrats essentially went down to 1.8, and then he moved the goalpost once again and basically said, no, we can't do any package unless it's maybe $1 trillion. So he continues to move the goalpost. He's doing it with the filibuster as well. He was originally on board to change this to a talking filibuster. Now he's saying he doesn't want to change it at all. But Chuck Schumer has vowed to bring this to a vote, and we expect them to vote on this in the next couple of days. So we should have a huge update. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will keep you posted as things develop. Also, quick note that the filibuster rules have been changed several times previously. Just in the last decade, Democrats and Republicans, respectively, both changed the rules to appoint judges. Republicans did this with Supreme Court judges, and Democrats under Obama did this for lower-level judges as well. And the filibuster really actually wasn't part of the Constitution. This was something that was created decades later. So although it's a staple in Congress, it's not crazy to think you're going to change it, especially like I said, it's been changed multiple times before. So with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I will keep you posted as things develop. Now, for those of you who want to stick around, I'm going to quickly discuss in a nutshell how rising interest rates can affect bonds if you have bonds in your portfolio. Now, a lot of seniors have bonds in their retirement portfolio. It's looked at as a safe investment. Now, recently, it really hasn't been the best place to park your money because the yield has been so low, especially compared to inflation and even the stock market, which has had historic returns. But basically, the point here is interest rates are going up, and a lot of seniors are wondering, how is this going to affect their bonds? Now, unfortunately, usually what ends up happening is if interest rates go up, the value of your bond goes down as well. Now, basically, what a bond is you purchase something, let's say, for $100, and they say they're going to give you a 3% return on that money. And let's say it's a 5-year deal. So at the end of those 5 years, you'll get your $100 back plus the 3% annually per year that you should have gotten from that deal. Now, when interest rates go up, let's say to 6%, let's say they double, now your bond is now worth less because people would rather buy the newer bonds who now give them a 6% return instead of a 3% return, making your bond a lot less appealing and a lot less valuable. So in this example, just let's say your bond value goes down to $90 instead of $100, just as a simple example. So really in the short term, interest rates going up can actually hurt the value of your bond. Although long-term interest rates going up can be good for seniors because it creates a safer place to park your money and still get a safe, guaranteed, decent return. So for example, if interest rates went up to 10% and you could get a bond for $100 with a 10% return, that's a great thing for seniors, a nice guaranteed return at a nice level. But when you already hold the bond and interest rates go up, it devalues the bond that you currently hold, if that kind of makes sense. So in the short term, if you're a senior and you hold a bond, interest rates going up can really hurt the value of your bond. But in the long term, if you continue buying bonds as interest rates go up, it can really help you build out your bond portfolio and put you in a situation where you're getting a nice, big, safe return from bonds in retirement. If that kind of makes sense, guys, this stuff is confusing, can be difficult to wrap your head around, but these are the type of things I'm going to focus on my second channel. We're going to do things like play bingo and have fun there, but I'm also going to talk about different investing opportunities, things like investing in bonds, stocks, cryptocurrencies, things like that. So if you guys are interested in this type of content, subscribe to my second channel. The link to that is going to be in the comments of this video. So that's about it for this video, folks. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next one, take care and have a great day.